Viking Sen So. This is a quick video to explain the Viking version of Sen So. This is how the game is packaged as a single player set. Let me go ahead and quickly go through the materials that are associated with the Viking. We have the player sheet that comes with the set. It's actually a double player board folded in half. The board you see down here is actually the free download PDF. We printed this and then we went to a local print shop and had it laminated. So I'm using that as a placemat. We have the rules for the game, the specific rules for the Viking, and the Viking cover art. There are 5 card holders, the player sheet. I have a blue chip for the Viking. I'll set that right here on the board. And then the Viking has all the basic actions. So quickly going through the actions: block, attack, and move actions. We have the advanced actions of leap and flying attack, and flying attack in particular will come into play when we talk about the Viking's ability. Now, weapon-wise, there's one weapon that's common with the Viking and is very similar to the ninja's nagamaki. It's a one-handed weapon that has a 2-range attack. It's the spear. So this is the Viking's spear. And let's put that up here as if the Viking were using that as a weapon. Now, the Viking does have several unique things. We'll start with the shield. The Viking can choose to use a block, but if he wants to, the Viking can spend half of his inventory, which is 4 points, and use a shield. Now the shield goes in place of the block, and it's a one-handed weapon, so the shield can be used only with a one-handed weapon in the primary weapon slot. Here's how the shield works. Each turn before actions are revealed, the Viking has the option to rotate the shield 1 octagon, either to the right or to the left. And where this comes into play is the fact the shield always has to be visible, so it's an always visible block, but the fact that it's rotatable will allow you to keep your block aligned up with opponents, or at least one opponent. So there's a quick example of the Viking with the shield and the spear. Now, let's talk about unique weapons to the Viking. There's another weapon that the Viking has, and that's called the hand axe. If we look at the hand axe, the Viking actually gets 2 of these cards. Now the hand axe is both an attack weapon and a ranged weapon. And let me explain how that works. It's a 1 inventory item, so it can be used for dual wield, which we'll cover in a minute. So in this example, if I had the hand axe up, whenever I use an attack card, I'd be using this attack pattern up here. I do have 2 cards that allow me to throw the axe as a ranged weapon. They're called aim 0 cards. Whenever the aim 0 card is played, it'll be played in the direction that the axe is thrown. And then you'll look at the attack pattern down here called the ranged pattern. It's a 3-space throw. So I can use the aim 0 card to throw the axe up to 3 spaces away. I have to, when I use an aim 0, discard the hand axe, because it means I threw it and it's gone. Alright, let's go through an example of dual wield, and let's talk about dual wielding. Now, when you dual wield, you sacrifice your blocks. You have no block ability, but you get the ability to do extra damage or have extra attack patterns. There's actually 2 ways to dual wield. So the first way of dual wielding, if we look at this, my primary weapon is a spear. If I attack someone in either of these 2 locations with the spear, I get my 5 score, 5 damage if it's not blocked. In this example, when the weapon's played face up, the secondary weapon is used for additional damage. So if I hit someone with this pattern, I can do 5 damage to them if they don't block, but I get no score for this attack. So that's an example of how to dual wield for extra damage in your offhand. Now, another way that you can play for dual wield, and I'm going to actually put up 2 hand axes because this is really where it comes into play. The primary weapon will be oriented normally. The second offhand weapon is oriented 180 degrees. So essentially, the weapon is the opposite of the pattern becomes opposite. Now how this works is you're actually using the offhand for additional attack locations. Now you only get to pick 1 location, but essentially you take the pattern from the first weapon, the primary, and the second weapon, and you add them together. So in this example, the hand axe, my primary weapon, gives me the pattern of front and to the side. My offhand weapon gives me to the rear and to the side. So I end up with a plus-shaped pattern when I'm attacking. So if I were the blue chip and I were actually playing an attack card, in this example, and I attacked forward, with this pattern I can attack here, 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 or here. I've got 4 locations that I can choose to attack from based on these 2 patterns being added together. I can only pick one of those spaces, but it gives me more attack locations. Either weapon that any location you pick is 5 score, 5 damage. So this doesn't do any extra damage, but it gives you additional places to choose from to attack when you're offhanding for additional pattern. That's a quick look at dual wielding with the hand axes for attacking. Now let's say that we were actually going to throw the hand axe. If I were to play an aim 0, and let's say I threw an aim 0 and I'm throwing the axe this way. In this case, my range pattern for this axe follows the arrow. My range pattern for the secondary offhand weapon is backwards. So I could choose to throw one of them, this one, and hit one of these 3 spaces, or I could choose to hit my primary weapon and hit one of these 3 spaces. Regardless, whichever one I throw, I have to discard and remove from the game. So you can not only use the double pattern for the attack, but you can also use it for your ranged attacks. Alright, there's one more ability that I want to cover one more weapon, and then we'll talk about the ability. The War Axe. The War Axe is a 6 inventory item. It takes up most of your inventory. It's got a 1 space attack pattern. Now the key with the War Axe is the War Axe does 10 damage. We consider a block to stop 5 points worth of damage. If they do block, they're going to lose 5 points. If they don't block, they're going to lose 10 points. So you can really chew somebody up if you hit with this. Now it's hard to hit with. The other thing that the War Axe has is what we call double glancings. A glance is when you attack next to an opponent but you don't actually hit them. With the War Axe, normally when you glance you get 1 point, but you get 2 points per glance with the War Axe. And a glance is per opponent that's next to the location. So a quick look at that. If I had these 2 ninjas up here, I had the War Axe up and I was attacking straight forward with this big bad War Axe, I would be attacking this location. I get 2 points for almost hitting the red ninja. I get 2 points for almost hitting the purple ninja. So that's 4 points score. I wouldn't hurt them in any way, but consider a normal hit is 5-point score. So you'll find that this weapon can score lots of points with glancings, and if it does hit the target, it'll take them out. Alright, that's the War Axe. Now, abilities. Chopping, flying attack. The chopping, flying attack is the ability of the Viking. The Viking can use this ability. It'll go in his ability slot here, and it'll stay here the whole game. What this allows the Viking to do is with any of its chopping weapons, which here are the 3 chopping weapons, the hand axes or the War Axe, when you have that item up, you can use a flying attack card and get the benefits of the weapon. Normally when you use a flying attack card, you get none of the weapon's abilities. You don't get any extra damage or any special abilities. You basically don't consider any of your weapons when you're doing flying attacks. Well, let's look at this example. If I were the blue chip and I was doing a flying attack, normally I'd move 1 space and I attack this space, and that's my only choice. Even if I had the War Axe up, without this ability, I would only do a 5 score, 5 attack. With this ability, I get the full benefit of the War Axe. I can do 10 damage to this purple ninja if he doesn't block. Or let's say the ninja was next to the location. I can do a flying attack, which would be move 1 space, attack this space with this pattern, and get the double glancing ability. Now where this really comes into play is with the hand axes. If you look at the hand axes, they have a plus pattern. So you have the ability with the Viking and 2 hand axes up to do a flying attack and then attack with a plus pattern. Let's look at that example. Let's say here's my starting location. I do a flying attack this way. Normally I just be able to attack this location, that's it. With the dual wield for extra pattern hand axes, I get a plus pattern. So I can actually attack the direction of the flying attack, behind, left, and right, and I can actually hit the purple ninja while doing a flying attack. And that's all because of the chopping flying attack ability. If you'd like more information on the Viking version of Sen So, go to the website. There are videos that explain how to play the game and the other variants of the game. Thank you.